Texas beef brisket. Here it is. Succulent, delicious, salty, smoky, but notoriously tricky to make. I've got a way to cut the cook time using a secret weapon. Still, will it retain all of the same succulent, salty, fatty goodness? We'll see. Stay tuned. Hi, Bill West with BarbecueTricks.com. So, trick, it's like the ultimate trick versus tradition. Can you kind of create a cheat for the legendary, notorious beef brisket? Salt, pepper brisket. I mean, the ingredients are simple, and I actually went down to Texas, kind of investigated things a little bit to see how the official guys down in Texas do it. And there's a few things they have in common. For one thing, they're always using post oak, which is hard to get up here. They use a really simple rub, typically salt and pepper, and they wrap it in butcher paper and put it back on the smoker, and basically use a lot of smoke, and they get a nice smoke ring. Oh yeah, and they got the Texas flag almost always waving out front. So here I go. I risk losing my pitmaster street cred here. People are going to unfriend me on Facebook. I'm sorry, but the secret weapon I've got is using a slow cooker to make it just as good as competition style beef brisket. So here's how I did it, and you can do it too. And I'm opting for simplicity's sake, and this brisket here, it's kind of a typical one. I mean, some of these pitmasters will use like Wagyu beef, and they'll buy, this is just from Walmart. I think it's about 7-8 pounds. One of my favorite tricks is just to marinate it right inside the plastic packaging. You can just use soy, a combination of soy and liquid smoke, maybe even some Morton's Tender Quick to add a little bit of a smoke ring. Yeah, you don't actually need smoke to have a smoke ring. Let it marinate overnight in the plastic packaging in a tray, because even if you tape that thing and wrap it up tight, still a lot of times you get some leakage. So use a nice pan and just let it soak. And I would do it fat side up in the fridge overnight, because you want more of the flavor getting into the meat instead of the fat. After about 24 hours, or at least 8 hours, you're ready to kind of trim it up first before you put it in the slow cooker. And I like to take the point. There's the point and the flat, and the point is the rounded off portion of the brisket that has a lot of extra fat. We'll use that and kind of trim it off here and chop it up. We can kind of make some fake burnt ends on this. And along with the burnt ends, we will make a layer of onions on the bottom of our slow cooker. That will keep it off the bottom of the slow cooker and help us create kind of a bit of a bark as much as we can. The rub that we're going to do on this is super simple. Some celery salt or a little bit of that Morton's Tender Quick to add a little bit of the fake smoke ring, and basically salt and black pepper evenly across the entire surface of the brisket. And again, you're using, for the most part, the flat of the brisket. So cover it evenly, and you don't have to rub it in too much. It doesn't have to be too heavy, but give it a good coating, because it's a lot of meat, evenly across the entire surface of your brisket. Again, I use the fattier point portions, and you can use that and cook that up alongside, maybe at the bottom underneath. That'll help keep the regular flat up above the level of the liquid that it's going to cook out. But these big fatty chunks will really render down nicely too. So that's it. Salt, pepper, maybe a little extra cure, and right into the slow cooker on top of the onions, fat side down, because we would like for the top part to create as much of a bark as is possible in a slow cooker. Cover it up, and we give it 8 hours. Not much more. I've done it every time, and 8 hours is fully done. Let it cook overnight. The next morning, there you go. You've got a completely cooked beef brisket. Now, what a lot of people do at this point is they take like the pot roast route, and they shred it up or let it fall apart. Treat it carefully here and remove it all in one piece. It will remain firm to the touch. And if you let it rest, take it out, and then cut it after it rests for a while, you will have a competition style presentation. So it's going to be sliced across the grain. Once it's rested, you can slice it, and it's not going to shred on you. And it makes a beautiful slice of succulent beef. I trim it up as much as possible. In fact, there's a kind of a flap on the side of the flat that you might want to additionally trim off, but it really makes, and yeah, you can see here, you do have a bit of a smoke ring, and the bark that is there is salty and peppery and really good. You can trim off that bottom flap for presentation and again make some burnt end kind of scraps or pull that apart. It makes for a great succulent piece of beef, and yeah, there's a smoke ring in there. Your guests are going to love it. Retain some of the juice from the bottom of the slow cooker, and you can add some more smoke to that, make a smokier sauce, and add just the right amount of zing or sweetness as you want at the table. But presentation-wise, that is a competition-style beef brisket. So the final result is, it is a total winner. It's unbelievable you can do this in a slow cooker. And another trick, cut it against the grain, and that's more of a competition-style slice. And a lot of times you don't see that, and some even restaurants won't cut it sliced like this because you got so many different parts, the point, the flat. Okay, so I know I'm losing my barbecue street cred here, but yes, you can make it work. It's brisket, traditional style, almost competition style in the slow cooker with a smoke ring. So good, and a lot easier than spending a day the traditional way. Although, is it as funny? Okay, full disclosure, do you get the same bark and the same smokiness as you would the traditional way? No. Is it worth the ease? Sometimes. Yes, the trick is worth a try. You want more tips, tricks, other fun stuff? Head over to the website. It's www.barbecuetricks.com.